Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm a bit late. How is everyone today? Happy Monday. Happy Monday morning to those of you who are in the time zone with the morning. Not everybody. Some of you have afternoon or whatever, middle of the night. Hi, everyone. It's Jodi Amen here. Today, we're going to be talking about work-life balance. We're going to talk about balance in general and then different concepts of it. Because I think we have some concepts of balance that actually tend to invite a lot of negative self-judgment in. Totally counterproductive. When we're talking about balance, we're talking about feeling better. We're talking about feeling at peace. We're talking about feeling a sense of equilibrium or calm. So when you are thinking about balance, you don't want to invite any judgment in because it is it's the opposite of what you're trying to do actually. So we want to, so that's what's so difficult about this discourse about balance. When we're talking about work-life balance, just throw out any of the shoulds, any of the ideas of like it should be one certain way, or you're supposed to, or you need to, or your expectations. Like throw out all the expectations, because the expectations actually are what keep you on that hamster wheel. And when you're on the hamster wheel, hi, Stanley. When you're on the hamster wheel, you are not in any kind of balance. You are working really hard and putting a lot of effort in and getting no impact back from it. That's literally what the hamster wheel is like putting all this effort in and getting nothing back for it but exhaustion. And when we talk about work-life balance, we're actually wanting the opposite. We want to have less effort with a greater impact, and we want to be energized by it. So instead of that hamster wheel where you're putting tons of effort in, no impact, and you're exhausted, like that's you're trying to survive, you're trying to prove something, you're trying to meet expectations that are unrealistic or not important. You don't have really a lot of consciousness in there. And so but what we really want to do, what would make us feel a balance in work and in life, is that if we we do less effort and have more impact. So when I talk about work and life or work, family, I'm talking about what's important to you. Some things about work is important to you. I hope you have a job that you love and that it feels very fulfilling and feels very purposeful. That is incredibly important in work-life balance, having something that you do that feels like it's part of your life mission. And so I'm talking about work-life integration. If your life, your friends and your family life and your personal life is full of purpose and full of meaning, and then your work life isn't, and you hate it, it has no meaning at all and no fulfillment, and you just hate it, then you're not going to experience some balance. You're not going to experience integration. Nowadays, especially this year where a lot more of us are home, working from home, we need an integration because it's all happening at once. In fact, I was late because I was helping my son working on a project, and it was a kind of an urgent moment, and I had to help him. So I was like, this is so perfect that this is my topic for today, because literally I'm in this integration that sometimes I have to be available here and sometimes I have to be available here. And it could depend on what the priorities are in the moment. But when I plan my day, I'm planning knowing that I have to have this integration. That sometimes when I'm studying for school, I'm listening to videos, but I might be sweeping my office or cleaning my office at the same time that I'm listening to my study materials or the coursework. So there's an integration part of it, that I'm doing two things at once, but there are things that could be done together. Sometimes when you're multitasking, those things are not supposed to be done together. That's you on the hamster wheel, putting a lot of effort in, having no impact. But if there's integration, that means I'm listening to a video or I'm listening to a podcast that was assigned by my professor, and I'm sweeping a room or taking a walk with the dog while I'm listening to that podcast, getting exercise, being outside in the sunshine. You see how there's a difference between integration and multitasking or having some kind of work and home balance. So I also said I was going to talk about, kind of a spiritual balance and embodied balance, because we have to, a lot of times we want to like leave this idea of this world of form where we have so much suffering and kind of go into our spiritual journey. And really, we need to have that balance because we still live in the world of form as well, right? And so we still affect everyone around us. We still are affected by everyone around us. We need to have a lot of loving compassion for ourselves there. And when we think that we're supposed to be this really evolved spiritual being and we don't allow ourselves to be human as well, then we are going to disrupt that balance that we're seeking, that sense of peace, or that sense that we're in the flow that we're seeking. Any kind of negative self-judgment is going to interrupt that coherence that we're looking for. So it might not be like, okay, how to schedule your day and here's your time management. It might be like really macro, taking a real zoom out and looking at the big picture view of your day and your life and what's important to you, and seeing how they integrate together. Like, how could you exercise and be with your kids? How could you learn something new and be with your kids, because that's good? Or how do you get inspired? Or how do you make delicious food and be with your kids? Like, how do you involve them in those kind of things so that you're doing two things at once? Or you're with friends, their friends have kids, so you could be together you could have some good time with some friends, which really feeds your soul, and your children also get the same. So, how do we integrate our own self-care and work, or integrate our own self-care and our personal life? Because they're so connected, right? There's this integration of how, if we're purpose driven in work and at home, then this will go easier. If we're like expectations driven, that's where we get out of balance. So I hope that idea serves you to really take a look at what you're doing. If you want a balance, if you want some integration, get off that hamster wheel. Sink in a little bit, put your feet on the ground, take some nice deep breaths, and think about what is really important to you. And make sure that you are planning your day to prioritize the things that are really important to you. You're going to have much more time in the day than you had before. You're going to put a lot less effort in, and you're going to have a lot more impact on yourself and on everybody around you. So it's going to feed you. Feed you. That's what we want to do. We need to stop like one way energy going out, 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 out. And we want to bring that in and bring that energy back to ourselves. So that's why if you haven't got my self-care, I have a free self-care for empaths course, jodiamond.com/self-care. So jodiamond.com, and I have a couple free courses in my school, but this gets you in for free. jodiamond.com/self-care. So it's a self-care course for empaths. So if you want to really up your level of self-care, come on in and get that course for you. It didn't ask me a question here. I think I could put it. Nope. Oh yeah, there you go. I did it. Ma'am, how do you deal with problems? I love people call me ma'am. That's so cute. I say, I don't mean to be, that sounded terrible to say that's so cute, but it's just sweet. I mean, it's like a sweet, kind way to address somebody. Ma'am, how do you deal with problems which affect our personal and professional life both? Well, sometimes there's negative people that, are affecting your life at work, and you take it home with you. And sometimes there's negative people that are affecting your life at home, and you take that into work with you. And I think, I don't know exactly what your problems are, so I'm guessing here, but there is a lot of ways, and usually there's a problem with boundaries. So go check out my video on creating really strict boundaries. And in my self-care class, I think I have a boundaries video where I talk about how to set boundaries. In fact, I know I do. And so check out that jodiamond.com/self-care. Because when things are flowing into one and the other, then when there's a problem and you're a sensitive person, of course it's going to flow. over to one or back to the other. So I understand. And so you want to learn how to set some real good limits on everything so that you can, so that doesn't control both situations and you have control back of the situations. Take some time. You want some spaciousness. When you have something that is a problem anywhere in your life, what you need to do is take a step back, take a lot of deep breaths, and not try to fix it. Give some space for yourself for the solution to come to you. Get some space in prayer and in meditation so that that resolution could come to you without any judgment getting in the way and making you urgently knee jerk and try to do something that's not necessarily helpful. So get a lot of space. That's a great way to solve problems, is getting a lot of space in there so that answers and ideas could come to you outside of the negative self-judgments. And that's usually a good way forward without knowing your specific problem. Hopefully that general information helps. So everybody get my, how do I turn that off? Okay. Okay. Get my self-care class, jodiamon.com/self-care, jodiamon.com/self-care, and come on, join me in my Earth Wisdom School. I'll see you there.